plus, well, 6 plus, it goes on. So if we just make an observation now, you can take 2 as a common number because 2 is 2 times 1, that is this. This is 2 times 2, and this is 2 times 3. So we have a common of 2, a factor of 2, which is common on all of them. And that's why we call it an even number, right? Because it has to evenly go into 2. So the last number is always 2 times something. So having discovered that now, what we are going to do is we are going to, let's erase this. We can say this is 2 times 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus, it goes on. And does this remind you of anything? Well, that is just the general sequence, or a sequence of numbers where the succeeding number is 1 plus the number before that. And we already know the formula for this. So your life with an even number becomes, or just became, easier. We know that when we have a sequence of numbers 1, 2, 3, all the way to n, the sum is n times n plus 1 by 2. So this is n times n plus 1 by 2. And then we have a factor of 2, or multiplication by 2, which we should not forget. So if I rewrite this now, it becomes 2, which is this, times n. Aditya says that I'm freezing, so good. Okay, so 2 times n plus 1 by 2, which is n times n plus 1 by 2. And this can be crossed out. So the sum of numbers starting from 2 to something like n is nothing but n times n plus 1.
Excuse me? I have a question. So, wait, for the even numbers, why do you put n times n plus 1 divided by 2?
So 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus, let's say, let's come up with a different number, m. And then I take the factor of 2 out from each of these numbers. So then what I have is 2, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus all the way to m over 2. Maybe this way. Let's say up to all the way to 2n. And then if I take the factor of 2 out, you have 1 plus 2 plus 3 all the way to n. We know the sum of this sequence. And the sum of this sequence is n times n plus 1 by 2. We learned this in the last class. So that's where this comes from. and then we multiply by 2 because this 2 comes here. So at the end, this 2 and this 2 go away. What you have remaining is n times n plus 1.
Wait, no, but for 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus everything plus n,
Yeah.
how did you get n times n plus 1 divided by 2?
Okay. Were you there in the last class?
Yes.
Okay. So what did we learn in the last class? We learned two things. What is the sum of sequence of numbers where the sequence is, where should I write? Let me just write it here. In last class, we learned about two sequences. One was what is the sum of numbers like this? Did we?
Yes.
Yes. And what did we learn? We learned that the sum is n times n plus 1 by 2. You remember?
Yes, but I still don't get why you do that.
That was in the last class.
Oh, but last class it was a little unclear because it kept freezing up for me.
Okay, did you watch the video we put afterwards?
I don't think so.
Okay, so what I would suggest is go and watch the video. So what we did was we recorded the session and it's in the video on YouTube and the link is in the Canvas.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you are not sure about the last class, go and watch that video, make yourself and try to understand. If you still have questions, send a message on Canvas on what your question is. But in the interest of time, let's not go over it again. And we have technology. I do not have to repeat every time. We have the recording, so you can always watch it later on.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. So that explains the reason why we did the sum of sequence of numbers, this sequence before coming to the even, because one can be derived from the other. So any other question? Okay, so let's examples now. What we just concluded is that, or what we just stated is that the sum of numbers like this is n times n plus 1 by, well, there is no by, just n times n plus 1. Now remember, I'm writing 2n here, and it becomes clear now. Let's say, for example, I have 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8. 4 numbers, easy to handle. So now 2, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. And we know that this is the sum of this is, or the sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 4 times 5 by 2, which is 10. And then we have a factor of 2 or multiply by 2, so 20. So is this equals to 20? It does. 2 plus 4, 6, 6 plus 6, 12, 12 plus 8, 20. So it works. I mean, it should work for any other number as well, because it's just natural to follow. Few things to remember. When we had the sequence of numbers from 1 plus 2 plus all the way to n, that n and this n, be sure that you know the difference. So when we do the n times n plus 1 for the even number, it is not 8, but it is 4, because we remove a factor of 2 out. So at this point, I will pause and ask for, if you have any questions, please go ahead.
Wait, so basically, it's not 8 and it's 4 because you're taking away the factor of 2, and then
Exactly.
okay.
Yep. So are you guys ready for an example now? Tell me the sum of numbers from even numbers from 2 to all the way to 12. What is it? You can type.
And remember, message me directly.
Yes. What is the formula for the even numbers again? So I could you just like write that down.
Send it to everyone or personally to Aditya?
I mean, personally to Aditya, the key thing is whether you are able to figure it out. I mean, if you send it to Aditya, others don't get influence, so they can work it out themselves. Good. All right. So I think based on the responses so far, we like all of you have understood. Now let's go back. So tell me the sequence of the sum of numbers when it is 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus all the way to 99. You can just send us a chat.
What is the question though?
The question is on the board. What is the sum of these numbers? So here the thing to recognize is this is odd, isn't it? So since it's odd numbers, from your little memory, you have to pull out the formula for the sum of first n odd numbers. And n is, or the last term is 99. What the responses, Aditya? Good? Not yet. Okay, good. So now let's do one more exercise. What is the sum of numbers 1 plus 2 plus 3 all the way to 29? Not yet. Cosetta. Yeah. So thank you for the responses. Some of you have got it right, some of you haven't. So how do we do that here? Well, from the formula, we know that if it is 1 plus 2 plus 3 all the way to n is 29. And then the formula is n times n plus 1 divided by 2. And n is 29 times 29 plus 1 by 2. So that is 29 times 15. And you just have to do that. If that is how you do it, great. I mean, there are two things. Yes, when you have an answer which is not correct, it could be because you did something wrong here. That's plain arithmetic error, happens sometimes. Or the other thing is you could not recognize how to, you could not get to this step. So if you are not able to get to this step, let us know. We can just go over it briefly.
So I did 29 times 30 because 29 plus 1.
Mhm.
And so I got 570. And then I did 570 divided by 2, and I got 285. Was that correct?
No, right? So 29 times. So, okay. I think you brought up a good point. In your school life and even after that, you will come up with many occasions where you have something like this. You have a number, say n, and then another number m, and then you have it divided by 2 or some divided by something else. The instinct would be to do n times m and then divide by 2 or whatever it is.
Yes.
Don't do that, because what you just did is you made something big and then you're going down again. So, I mean, we are all limited by how much math we can handle. And the smaller number it is, easier it is, and less chance of making an error. So what I will always suggest is, if you have something like this, n times m by 2, see if n is even. If n is even, then do the divide by 2 first. And if n is odd, m is even, do the divide by 2 first on m. Because then you have a smaller number, and then you multiply. And this applies to anything you do. Always try to get it low before you increase it, because the order of the sequence or the numbers or the operator, you do not have to go through exactly like that all the time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I think that's where you went wrong. Otherwise, I think we have a good handle on this. Unless, I mean, if not, let us know, because this is an important sequence. And before we move on, we want to be at least have a idea of how to deal with it.
I didn't understand the 1 plus, 1 plus 3 plus 5 one, the odd numbered one.
Yes. So I would suggest you watch the video of the previous, the last week,
Okay.
because there we had explained why it is like that, and also a pictorial, like a cheat sheet. You won't forget after that once you see it. I mean, I won't claim, so that's a bold statement to make, but in general, it will help you. So take a look at that video. If you still don't understand, let us know, and let us know before the next class. Don't wait for the next class. The class is where we do the teaching and clarify any doubts. The follow-up should be in between.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes.
Do you know, like you said, like the even, the like what you were just teaching right now, is there a video on that?
Yeah.
Oh, there is?
Were you in the, a video on whether it's an odd or even number?
Yes.
No, we don't. An odd number is a number which is not a multiple of 2.
Okay.
An odd number is a number whose ones place digit is not 0, 2, 4, 6, 8.
Okay.
Basically, that's like the 10-second video.
Okay.
Okay. Now, moving on to the sequences, there is a general formula for any kind of sequence, but I do not want to do that now. We can do at some other time or towards the end of this course, because what you have now is pretty useful and very commonly used sequence. And I would want you to get comfortable with that before we get into the general formula. So if we do not have any questions, I mean, I want to wrap up the class today here before and not introduce new topic. So we will start something new next week. But just few tips since we talked about multiplication. For example, if you have a number to multiply, like 12 times 50, in general, we can do, or that the straightforward way of doing it will be 12 times 5 and then put a 0. This will work in most cases, but few like take a look at doing this in a different way. And a different way is nothing but when you see a 50 number by 50, like 50, think whether you can express that as a in terms of 100 or in terms of 10 or in terms of 1000, depending on what this number is. What I meant is, if you have 12 times 50, I do 12 times 50 is 100 by 2. And like I said before, you divide first, do not multiply. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. And then we all know that when we multiply 6 with 100, it's just putting 2 zeros. So what you had 12 times 50, you can do in the regular way, or this. This is to me at least easier and less chance of making an error, because in a test or in general, even if it's not a test, it's one thing not to know something and then you make a mistake. That is fine. You did not know, you made a mistake. But if you knew something and you still made an arithmetic mistake, you lost the marks just like that. So remember to do something like this. And for example, if it is 12 times 25, so now we can do 12 times 5, 0, 6, 12 times 2, plus 6, and all that. Instead of that, what we can do, again, 25 is a 100 divided by 4. So 12 times 100 by 4. And then again divide first. So that is 3. And then 300. Simpler.
Can you break 25 into 5 times 5 and then do 12 times 5, 30, and then 30 times 5, 150?
Yes, that's a perfect, that's another good way of, doing it. And so what did you say, 12 times 5?
Yes, 12 times 5. Wait, never mind. 60. Yeah, 60.
Yes.
Sorry. And then
Yes,
60.
so exactly. So it is those kind of mistakes we want to avoid, because in a when you have a question paper with like 50 questions or 80 questions and 10 minutes to do, such things happen. And rethinking and doing it this way it may be convenient. Just give it a thought. It may not appeal to all of you, and I'm not saying that you should all do this way, but a different way of doing it.
What if it's not a multiple of 100?
Yes, so if it's not a multiple of 100, obviously this will not apply. Then over a period of time, you will figure it out, the most efficient way of doing it. For example, say 125. 125 times something, some number. Now 125, if you do not know, is 1000 by 8. Now imagine if you had been given 125 times 800. I mean, you can still do it, but now you know that 125 is 1000 by 8. It became a much simpler problem. So how did I know that 125 is 1000 by 8? It's just practice. There is no easy way. So that is why we suggest you keep practicing. And the more number of things you try, the newer things will go into your memory, and the next time you will just use it as is. Okay?